What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and this week on Rogue Deck Reviews, we got... I'm gonna butcher this name so fucking bad, I can already see it. It's another deck, it was sent in by Kojiros. Thanks a whole bunch, dude. Sorry for taking so long to get to this one. Just like Doki Doki Sunshine from the other week, by Dragon. There was a whole bunch of effects in here that just were not completed just yet, and I didn't really wanted to try to go over it just yet until they actually had more of the effects written up here. But I figured, you know what, if there's anything that doesn't come up, I can just use Heart of the Cards or the English Weiss site or whatever. I do have actually one pulled up solely because of how many effects are up there. But for today, we're going to try to go through... Oh my god. Okay, let's try this. Nietzsche's Abyss. It sounds like it's German, and I know you've explained this to me before, dude, but I cannot remember how to pronounce this. I greatly apologize, but it is... I wonder if he actually wrote how to pronounce it in his little description thing. Okay, so I don't see anything pertaining to that. So anyway, okay, so it's Kantia Abyssals, which is only going to be blue-green as far as just like how the deck is set up. And we're going to get right into this. Enough of me trying to pronounce German words, even though I took 2 years of German. I'm surprised I can't pronounce that. Or it looks so similar to German. So, obviously starting off with the level 0s, we have one of the most broke cards in all of the Abyssal set, the Woe-class aircraft carrier. Whoa! No. 2 effects, and at the beginning, first is at the beginning of your climax phase, you can choose another of your Abyssal characters. I know it says Fleet in the Deep Sea, but that just... 2 things. 1, it sounds stupid. 2, it's a mouthful. So I'm just going to say Abyssals. So that's 3 syllables versus Fleet in the Deep Sea is 5 syllables. So easier to say. Choose one of your Abyssals, and that character gets 1,000 power until end of turn. So already just really good whenever you need to try to get over something, because a lot of people like to wall up nowadays as far as like how they set up a lot of their boards is pretty important to be able to get over them. So just that little extra buff, pretty good, especially early game. But the ability that makes her so fucking broke is an act ability. Pay 1 stock, put the top card of your deck into your clock, and rest this card. Search your deck for up to 1 Abyssal character, add it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. Sure, you damage yourself. But as opposed to clocking every turn, as long as you have the spare stock to be able to use... you can end up still dealing yourself a damage, but get the exact card that you want. You can still clock and do this, like especially early on at level 0. Why the fuck not? Push yourself to level 1 quicker, get all the cards that you need, and just replenish your hand that much quicker. It's just really good effect. So 3 of this is a must for Abyssals. You just have to. Evil Suzuya, if I'm not mistaken, Nay-class heavy cruiser, so it's an overpowered 4K. The demerit to it is it can't side attack, and when it becomes reversed in battle, your opponent can choose a card in your waiting room and put it on top of your deck. So if it gets reversed early on, they can put something up there to try to push for, try to swing with other characters for guaranteed damage. You don't really care. It's whatever. But so having a couple overpowered beat sticks at level 0 is still pretty good nowadays, from what I understand. And one of the advantages to this also is where it's like when this card becomes reversed. If someone's not actually using like level 0 reversers, if they're using clock bombs or stock bombs, you don't care. You actually don't even suffer from that demerit. You can just kill this stop bombs and clock bombs, and not get hit by that at all, because then they're going to leave the field, which is funny to me. 2 copies of that. 2 copies of the Nietzsche Destroyer. Which are really cool looking. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may put the top card of your opponent's stock into your opponent's waiting room. If you do, choose a card in your opponent's waiting room and put it into his or her stock. And then an auto ability. When this card attacks, choose one of your other Fleet in the Deep Sea characters, and that character gets 1,000 power till end of turn. More buffage, more just being able to... Most of the time with that, you're going to want to try to throw like climaxes into your opponent's stock off of that, just because. It's kind of funny. The Brainstormer of the deck, if I remember correctly. Yeah. First off, your other character in the 2 copies of the little buffer here. 2 copies of the Brainstormer, which your other character in the middle position of your center stage gets 500 power. Brainstorm, pay 1 stock and rest just this card. Usually a lot of these Brainstorms involve like resting 2 characters, so being able to see ones that are just rest it, it's pretty freaking good. Mill 4 for every climax. Search your deck for an Abyssal, add it to your hand. So just really good deck. This is mandatory if you run Abyssals. This one and the Woe class, I will definitely say you have to run both of these cards. It's just, they're too good not to. What's the fuck? So 2 of that. 3 copies of the Southern Battle Princess in the Deep Sea. She's a global 500 to all your other Abyssals, and when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an Abyssal, add it to your hand, choose a card in your hand, discard it. So it's like the level 0 Silica Brainstormer, the Reverser from SAO, on top of being a global 5, which is really nice. Just that hand fixing is really good, and in a way, like Silica from SAO, the way it was described to me, when you combine the Sleeping Knights Brainstormer with the Silica, it's as if you brainstorm 5 cards as opposed to just 4, because this can help you dig 1 card lower for potential brainstormers or potential brainstorm hits, and be able to set up your level 1 plays or whatever. It's really good. So 3 of her, I feel that's understandable. Pretty fair number there. So obviously you don't have a whole bunch of beat sticks at level 0, but you really don't care. You just want to be able to just get your buffage and whatnot going on. And then last is the Ha class destroyer. If the number of cards in your hand is 6 or more, this card gets +1 level and 1,000 power. 4 of this, making it a 3,500 if you have 6 or more cards in hand. 3,500 and it count as a level 1. So being able to get over reversers, being able to just really get over a whole bunch of stuff early on, because it's not restrictive. Most of the restrictions that you see for this involve the character only having like X number of other characters on the field, or having like none other at all. This is just, this encourages maintaining a hand size. And I actually like this effect and hope that any new players that try to get in look at this effect and go, oh, I actually have to conserve my hand size and actually think. And to me, I feel that if they had more effects like this where you conserve your hand size, it would actually help a lot of newer players. So I like to see these kind of effects. So 4 of that. And that's it for the level 0s. We had 3, 5, 7, 9, 12, 16, if I'm doing that right. Let's look up here for the magic number. 16. Yeah. I didn't cheat. Alright, so getting into the level 1s, we're only going to have, 3, 5, plus 6 is 11 level 1s. Obviously, the level 1 Hoppo, the Northern Princess in the Deep Sea. This card's a lot better than I used to think. Being able to basically try to get rid of 2 characters in 1 shot is actually really nice. Being able to snipe your opponent's back row is the biggest thing, and if it kind of makes me think that they try to take a lot of this into account for specifically playing against Kantai, and how much like they'll have Hatsus in the back or whatever, and being able to use this effect, this climax combo, which is off of a card named Sync, which is a 1k1 gold bar. So 4 of that also. So you're going to be trying to get that gold bar and be able to get this effect off. When Sync is placed on your climax area, I got a message. If this card is in your center stage, choose up to one of your opponent's level 0 or lower characters, put it into his or her waiting room, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a level 0 or lower character, put it into your hand. So 1, it's just going to straight kill like level 0s your opponent has, which the useful thing of this, once again, is killing the back row. You don't really so much care for the front row, but you want to get rid of their assist. You want to get rid of their global 5s. There's just all sorts of stuff. Even for other sets like SAO that's sitting on the Sleeping Knights Brainstormer, or the Asuna's Married Wife, all their level 0 utility stuff. This just gets rid of that and gets it off the field and makes them waste resources if they want to try to keep it. It's amazingly useful in that regard, and I never thought about it that way. Especially because of stuff like SAO being seen so much in the English meta. So that's just really cool effect. And if you can end up getting some card advantage off of it, like some extra level 0s, as many good level 0s as you have between global 5s, brainstormers and whatnot, being able to get those would be really nice. So only 3 of the Hoppo, which I see most people try to run 4, but to each their own. Next is Midway Princess in the Deep Sea. Now, this is a really big effect, so it's like 5 effects. It's like 4 or 5 effects. So what I'm actually going to end up doing is going over here to Heart of the Cards. That actually has it laid out a little bit better than it does just kind of clumped together. So this is the level 1 Midway Princess. It's initially a 3K. It has a act ability. You can pay 1 to give an Abyssal plus 1500 power till end of turn, so which is pretty good. When it's placed on stage from hand, look at up to 2 cards on the top of your library, put them back in the same order. You get to see how you're going to swing. If you know gold bars are coming up, or if you do that also and you see that there are climaxes or climax down 1 or 2, go ahead and brainstorm right then and there. It's really useful. If you have 2 or more other Abyssal characters, she gets 1,000, so it could be a 4K. For each of your other level 0 or lower characters, she gets 500 power. So if you're putting this in like the middle center, if you got the Global 5 and then the Brainstormer, which ends up giving a 500 buff to your middle center anyway, for just the zeros being there, she'll get an additional 1,000. Off of their own effects, she'll get another 1,000. So she can sit at like a 5K, level 1, just because. Even though she starts off weak, she's got a lot of inherently good cards. Or good cards. Yeah, good effects. To buff her bit by bit. Also, when this is placed from the stage to the waiting room, you pay the cost, which is 1 stock and discarding 1 card. If so, choose a Midway Princess final form, which is a level 2. We'll get to that. And put it rested in any slot on the stage. So you want to be able to use this. If she dies, get the level 2 and just be able to use that. Because it's actually a pretty decent level 2, if I do say so myself. So 3 copies of her. And we shouldn't really have to use the Heart of the Cards too much for the wall of text for many other cards in here. But I do have it pulled up just in case. So 3 of her, 2 copies of Armored Aircraft Carrier Ogre in the Deep Sea. These names are just something. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, choose one of your other fleet girls. I was about to say fleet girls. Fucking shit. Your other Abyssals. That character gets X power. X is equal to the number of Abyssal characters you have multiplied by 500. So she can give up to, if you play her last, you can give one of your Abyssals up to plus 2,500, which is really, really useful. Just really powerful effect, and for free. Otherwise, she's like a 5K, so 2 of her are pretty good. This Rue class battleship, which when it's placed on stage from your hand, she gets a burst effect, which is she gets a buff, but instead of like based off the number of characters you have or whatever, it's 500 for each of the cards in your opponent's clock, which is amazing. If you somehow get to level 1 first, and your opponent's like almost to level 1, she can give such a huge boost to herself to make certain to get over stuff. Or even late game, just being able to give a really nice buff the closer that your opponent is to death. I feel that 3 may be a bit too much, but it's still a very good effect, and I personally do like it. If I were to mess around with this, I may end up taking out one of these and maybe put in another Hoppo. That's my personal thing, though, but regardless, you want to be able to see the Hoppo because you're going to get the gold bars to hand very easily. You just want to be able to see the Hoppos. Otherwise, I still like this and it's very good. Level 2s, we're getting into the other climax combo of the deck off of, I told you, it's hopeless, ... 2 copies of this, which is a plus 1,500 to all your Abyssals in front of her. So really interesting back row buff right there at level 1. Being able to make even like the 5Ks and whatnot of your level 1s get so freaking huge. When the climax gets played, you can pay the cost, which is 3. If so, choose a character in your clock, return it to your hand, which, yes, that's a heal. It's a fairly hefty cost, which admittedly, this pays for part of it. When it's placed on the climax area, you can choose up to 1 green card in your waiting room and put it into your stock, and all your characters get plus 1 soul. She's already giving a fairly big buff to the characters in front of her, and the pay 3 stock is minimal at most. That's not even that bad. But because you can drop her at level 2 and then play her way later in case you do get like the climax or whatever later on down the line. Being able to heal like that also gets around the Hibiki heal tax. So being able to do that and then get some more hand advantage back, heal something all in the same go, even if it is 3 stock, I still don't mind it that much. I feel that you might as well say you're only paying 2 stock for it because the climax is going to give you a stock, so it's as if you're only having to really pay 2 stock to get back a card of your choice fun part about that, where it's just like it says choose a character card. So you specifically have to get a character, but I mean that's what you're going to do. It doesn't restrict you on what level or whatever. Still a pretty good effect. I personally like the Berserker Princess. It's a neat little effect with another 1k1 gold bar trigger. But still, I like this effect as well because of the heal. The fact that it gets around heal attacks is really nice. 2 of it. 2 of the... This is the backup. It's a 3k backup at level 2 for only 1 cost. When you use the backup, you have to put the top 3 cards of your... You put the top 3 cards of your opponent's library in the waiting room, which is actually kind of funny to me. I would love to see someone like win off of this, like as a forcing your opponent to refresh and win off of that. That'd be hilarious. But 3k regardless for that is pretty damn good. 2 copies of that. 2 copies of Aircraft Carrier Princess. When it becomes reverse, if the level of the battle opponent of this is higher than the level of your opponent, you can put the top card of your opponent's clock in the waiting room, and if so, put that character into your opponent's clock. And when you level up, this gets an encore of 1 for the turn. So this is an anti change. Anti-change? I don't know. I said that wrong. Fuck. It's an anti-change, but it's in character form. And it's in the form of a clock swap, or a clock bomb, which to me is just fucking amazing. And if you were to level up, she's already a 6/5, which is pretty beastly to begin with. If you have stuff like the Airfield Princess in the back row, you end up getting plus 15, would make her a 8k easily. And then, if they don't have early plays, it's going to be hard to get over it anyway. And then if you would level up, you only had to pay 1 stock to save her, which is nice. So that's really cool. I actually really like this card. So here is the final mode for Midway Princess, which is really interesting because you can summon this off of the level 1 Midway Princess. So at the start of your draw phase, if you have no other characters in the front row, this gains 4,000 power for the turn. Starting off at a 75, assuming you have the Global 5 in the back row, she's a 12k for the turn. At least like an 11/5, 12k for the turn. The synergy with that is if all of your characters ended up getting reversed when when you activated her effect, she's more than likely going to be the only character you have at the start of your draw phase. The plus side to that also is she has a special kind of encore, which is just discard a green card. It doesn't state a character or whatever. You can discard the climaxes for this, which I thought was amazing, considering gold bars also tend to stick in your hand a whole bunch. That's actually really useful to be able to get her pitch climaxes for potential refresh very soon, and be able to ensure that her buff is almost always going to go off, which is just really nice to me. So that's it for the level 2s. That's 6. That's 9. 69. Okay. That was weird. And the level 3s, we got 6 of them. So it's not running the restander, which is understandable, but at the same time, a lot of people seem to really like that big overpowered restander. But we have 3 of the Hoppo, which is an experience effect. If all the cards in your level are Abyssal characters, she gets 1,500 power, putting her at 11/5 base. So that's fucking guaranteed to happen. There's no drawback to this. You are guaranteed to get this experience effect off in this type in this deck, definitely. In probably most, if not all, Abyssal decks, this should always go off. If you don't, something's wrong. And she has the auto ability during the turn. This card was placed from the hand to the stage. When the battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 1 stock, and if you do, send that character to your opponent's clock. So clock shoot OP. Just really nice. Really love this effect. And she's, between her and the price tags are understandable. Which that is the final mode, Hoppo, the Northern Princess. This is the Battleship Hydro Ogre. This is actually really cool. If the number of your climaxes in your waiting room is 2 or less, she gets -1 level in your hand. So she has an early play, heal on play, and during your opponent's turn, this card gets plus 500 power for each of your other Abyssal characters. So a full field equates to this being a 11/5 defensively at level 2 and heal on play. Boy! I'm sorry, that's so spicy. I just really like that. And it's got even at release, this had a fairly decent price tag, and it was understandable. So And plus, being able to splash in just like the little extra blue at level 0 to make certain to be able to summon this is really easy to do. So I like how the color scheme is set up, definitely, because you only make certain that you have green at level 1, because that's all you need at level 1 is green stuff. And you don't have to worry about like trying to fit too terribly many colors in early on. As long as you play it by level 2 so that you could potentially drop it early, that's all that you need at that point. So it's understandable. But you still have all this green, and you don't really have to play blue if you can't get the early play effect off. You can just wait till level 3 and just drop it and heal some. So it's really good. 4 copies of the gold bar and 4 copies of the green stock from Waiting Room and +1 sold to everybody. With a double crit trigger too, but to each their own. I personally don't really care for a lot of the double crits, but this is actually very nice in fact that it gives you extra stock. So 4 and 4 of the different climax combos, and it's definitely interesting. Like, a lot of people look at this and go, okay, these are inherently weaker characters. Inherently, but once you get a lot of the effects going, 1500 in front, global 500, 500 middle center, 1000 at the beginning of the climax, or at the beginning of the climax phase, these extra buffs that just seemingly come out of nowhere, and even off the midway princess. Oh, I have extra climaxes in my stock. I'm going to pay those out and get really big ass buffs. Hoppo alone can get huge at level 1. Like, even off of only being 45 to begin with, and if you do the climax combo, she's a 55. But that's only off of those 2 cards. This bitch can get huge, man. So I have a different setup from how mine is currently, which if I can get a couple other cards, I'm actually going to try to set it up either on WS decks or in a actual deck profile or whatever. But I do like this deck, Kojiros, mostly because I am so glad we have Abyssals at this point, and I enjoy looking over a lot of the Abyssal stuff because I really wish we had more Abyssal stuff. And a lot of the combos are very interesting. It seems like there's not really one particular deck to settle on. Like, there's a lot of different things that you can do, and I do like that. So thank you for sending this in, Kojiros, and thank you everybody else for watching. We're going to sign off for now. This is Hoppo waving by, and this is Koolaid saying thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. If you do, it'd be much appreciated. If you don't, I'm just glad you dropped by to check out the video. We will see y'all on the flip side. Peace.